hello, Internet.
Like 50 different videos up right now of dumb stuff I'm looking into.
I have 50 different trailers here for dumb video games coming out. Pretty similar.
I fucking instead of spending tons of money on one of those little telescopic cables that I really, really want, I just pull up YouTube videos of people who have those, and they show me what's in there.
There you go. Moon, here's a Dune tweet for you that you'll really like. Please stop it with the girl math. That's how we got the Bene Gesserit.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty good.
That's one just for Moon.
Yeah, speaking of Moon, check out his new debut as a content creator on YouTube.
That's right. I laughed so fucking hard at that video.
I did. Which bit, dude? There's a couple that got me like
two. So the first bit was you yelling at Justin of like, "There's a mine! Justin, stop! There's a mine!" And then the other one was Ash running away from that spider and just be like, and just jumping right into a chasm. Just like
that was funny.
The horror was too much.
Yeah, the one I was talking about was before you even get to that, you have that tiny spider clip where you see it and it charges you, and you go running away and it's chasing you and biting you the entire time, and you make it outside. Oh, there was a lot of time of you standing around not doing a GD thing, and I'm just like, run! Run! Yeah, because I didn't know how the thumpers operated at that time. The thumpers operate on line of sight, I have since learned.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as he sees me, that's when he growls. And the thing with the thumpers is they're fast in a straight line, so as soon as they start going, it's really hard to I know, then you run to the staircase and you turn left, and I'm just like, jump the damn handlebars, go! The problem is those stairs have gaps underneath them, and I've tried that before and gone straight off the gap. Like, it's not like a solid floor underneath, there's a part of it that has gaps. And I've done that before, jumped over an edge, straight down the fucking hole. I just know that you and I were breathing pretty heavily once you got outside. Me from yelling and you from being scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one Boston's talking about where I was yelling at Justin, like I was cracking up because like a couple of weeks ago, because minor spoiler, I've been working on this thing for like 3 fucking weeks. I have a full-time job and chores and shows and content to produce, so I get maybe a little bit of time here and there to work on it. So it's taken me a while to do this, and I'm teaching myself as I go. I did have, like, I was telling in the chat, like, I did have, like, double the amount of clips, but then the problem is I'm listening and watching the same clips, like, 50 times.
Yeah.
And after a while, the funny just rubs off, and I'm just like, I don't know, I don't think this is funny anymore.
Is this
so
really
I just delete
funny?
the whole fucking clip.
Yeah.
But the one with Justin was funny to me because, like, literally a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about on the show how, like, he was about to put the mask on in the ship, and I lost my shit at him. I was like, Justin, don't fucking put the mask on in the ship. Don't you fucking
put it down.
And then right after that, I started to do the video, and I sent a text to Robert Justin being like, so apparently I've been Justin's dad a lot longer than I expected, because this is the very first day we played, and I'm yelling at Justin. And I literally yelled at him while we were playing this weekend. And Rob responded with, well, everybody's Justin's dad at one point or another. And Justin responded with, it takes a village.
All right, are you guys ready to get this started?
Yeah, sure. But yeah, that last video, the reason I picked that video last, by the way, Boston, is because I think that might be my favorite one because it just builds so perfectly. I can't find you! As you run out of the darkness straight into me.
I don't know if it can open doors. Click, click. It's just like, ah!
It can open doors.
So
yeah, I was more worried about it, but because it looked like that wall was barely containing it just from a collision standard coding wise. So I was like, it's so bad, yeah. Yeah, so I was sitting there just thinking, I was like, I don't care if it can open a door or not. It's probably going to squeeze through like this tiny little coding gap.
There.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
But yeah, that
So
was
that's my
also
favorite
another,
one.
yeah, that was also another one where it's like, why are you all standing there? Fucking move! You're like,
I was backing away.
You're
Don't
the
be mad at
worst
me.
horror movie group to watch.
Yeah, maybe it's
You're
friends.
everything. Yeah, you're everything that I yell at a movie and just hating people.
So that's part of my favorite thing about it is the tiny little vents is what those spiders can go through. Like they're the smallest little squares, and the spider's like 8 times the size of them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, okay, here comes the spider
Here's the
out of this.
spider.
That's why I deliberately put that vent opens like text
That
on
was
the
really
screen,
good,
because it
yeah.
was like, that's the sound that the vent makes, and that's when I turned around. It's like, shit, that was a dead end a couple of seconds ago.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's get started with the episode. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
Quick plug here for patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
Recommended tier is the $5 tier. Let's go through all the cool stuff that you get. Let's start off with the uncensored exclusive Outcast. So we're talking about all the other non-video game related stuff in our lives. It's a real good one this week. You got another cursed drink. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? You'll know once you sign up for the Patreon. You get early access to We Really Like It and Critical Misses. And then you'll get exclusive access to Critical Misses production meeting, where Moon and I are kind of trying to figure out how the show is going, what we're going to add, what we're going to drop, where we're going, that whole thing. Get exclusive access to the Supernatural TV show watchcast called The Wayward Sons. That comes out every other week at $5 tier. And I think that's it. It's all really good over there. Get the Fun for a $5, $5 tier. That's the one that gets you everything. Anything above and beyond that, it's greatly appreciated and helps support the show. So thank you very much, all your patrons. Patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers. The reason I was laughing right there, by the way, Boston, was because I got the Patreon notification about the episode that came out, and I took a screenshot of it, sent it to Nymph, and we're like, this feels like it was like 6 months ago. It wasn't. Right. It just feels like it was like 6 months ago that we recorded it.
Nice part about having a good steady backlog is like, we recorded that a while ago. Yeah.
Hey, look, we do things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of doing things,
let me just double check my reminders and make sure my recording reminders are scheduled for next week, quote unquote. And as for what I've been playing, Boston,
well, hold on, we still got more stuff. There's a new episode of Picking Up the Pixels out right now in this and the Picking Up the Pixels feed. Go ahead and go check that out if you want some deep dives into RPGs and also a second playthrough of Alan Wake 2. No spoilers, I promise. So that's all good over there. And one last note here. Since Moon wants to talk about what he's been playing, which is probably just the crew.
It is. Spoiler. I was trying to segue. I didn't know there was more stuff to talk about.
I got a lot of business here at I got please check the meeting minutes next week. Sent them over via email. We're also going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth this week. We're going to save that until the very end of this first segment. That way, in case you just want to skip past that stuff, we're not going to spoil anything in it, because that would be a real jerk move, because it came out like literally 3 days ago. But if you want to go in as blind as possible, skip past that stuff if you don't want to hear it. Don't forget the episodes have chapter markers too, if your podcatcher supports them. That way you can just skip right on to releases. All right, Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
What have I been playing? Well, you called it. I played The Crew a lot, too much, not enough, whatever you want to phrase it.
All right, what have I been playing this week? So,
hey, I got a transition game for you. You sit your backside down. Yeah, I don't know. I played a whole bunch of it, did a whole bunch of challenges. I don't know. I'm at that point right now where So I'm enjoying playing it because I know I don't have much time left. It feels like this is one of those games that maybe I didn't give a fair shout to because I blew through the story in like 6 hours or wherever. It was like, yeah, I'm done.
Also, to clarify, when Moon says he doesn't have much time yet, he's not dying. It's just that the game is getting turned off.
Yes, the game is getting deactivated.
Moon doesn't have
as of-
another announcement here to make.
Yes.
Like,
This isn't a Make-A-Wish thing.
that's right. That's right.
Let me tell you, we recorded so much Supernatural over the past 2 weeks. You have no idea. Every day, 4 episodes a day.
That's right.
Anyway, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out on that at least.
That's right.
But yeah, no, the game comes offline March 31st, so I'm just gonna going through it, doing what I can, playing what I can while I'm while it's available to. And then I got in a Twitter conversation with one Rob Zachney. Not a Twitter conversation, Blue Sky conversation with one Rob Zachney, who made me aware of a little game called Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.
Solar Crown. Okay. I remember Test Drive Unlimited from like the 360 days.
Yep. So it's the arcade racer of its time, which was replaced by other games and so on and so forth. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown looks like The Crew. Like 100% looks like The Crew.
Great. Is it?
Is
it out yet, or is it coming out?
Nope. As he so eloquently put it, that's good because it clears the space out for Test Drive Solar Crown. I was like, what is Test Drive Solar Crown? And then I looked into it, and it 100% looks like The Crew. Like,
Wow.
1,000% looks like The Crew. They even have different like profiles of drivers, like the racer, the drifter, the street guy, the cruiser, and all this other kind of stuff going on. It's like, oh no, what is going on? Like, and then I looked at footage of it, and oh boy, does that game look insanely beautiful. Like, insanely beautiful. And from what I understand, it is a 1-to-1 recreation of I think it's Hong Kong Island.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
So it's even doing that thing for The Crew as well.
Interesting.
Except, it's actually a 1-to-1 recreation instead of ketchup on a napkin America.
Right.
And now I might be in for my next huge dumb racing game that'll get turned off after about a year is the problem. Because it's Test Drive. And Test Drive had a great name. It had fantastic brand recognition. I don't think it has it anymore.
Probably not. Also, this trailer says Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown will be available in 2024.
Yep. So apparently it's scheduled to come out this year, but no 100% confirmed release dates yet.
Right.
And I think it might be in UE 4 or 5 as well, just to make life that much more pretty.
Yeah. Looks pretty cool.
I don't know. It looks good, and I don't know, maybe I miss driving around with my homies. And since nobody's playing The Crew with me, despite the fact that it's on Games with Gold.
Well, we don't have, other than Forza Horizon, we don't really have any of the, open world kind of arcadey, but still simmy enough, that kind of middle ground racing game. There aren't really any of those anymore. Like, there's the dirt games, but those are different. Those aren't really not the same. They
feel super simmy.
Well, and they're not like the kind of semi-open world thing either.
Yeah, I mean, I was made aware of this game, and now all of a sudden I'm very, very interested in it. And I don't know, it's
looks cool. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Come out this year.
It's one of those things. Like I said, I want homies to drive around in The Crew with, but no one's playing with me. So it's like, well, I doubt I'll be able to rope anybody in to play Test Drive with me unless it goes to Game Pass and suddenly it's a big hit. Go to Game Pass, please. But I don't know. It's fun. I've had my time with The Crew, and whether I finish these achievements or not at this point, it's whatever. I'm still just gonna enjoy playing it for the rest of the month and then forget about it forever at that point.
Yep.
One major complaint I have about current racing games is that, yes, you can go in and do the mechanical settings and you can change your gear ratio and all that stuff. But 9 times out of 10, the only aftermarket parts you see for these vehicles in the game is oh, hey, we added the hitch hook to the front and you can put on different rims.
Right.
Other than that, it's you can't, and you can put a decal on the vehicle. Other than that, Like you can't customize any of the vehicles anymore.
You know why? You know why?
I know exactly why, but that's
same
why.
Reason a Burnout doesn't exist anymore. It's because
Right.
no, you can't have our cars crashing.
But
Yeah,
you
I
can
know.
put waifu stickers on them. That's for sure.
True.
All kinds of random stuff. Yeah,
This is still America, man.
I miss that kind of customization where it's like, hey, you can change how your dash looks because it's your vehicle that you're driving and nobody else is going to see it, kind of thing.
Does Gran Turismo still do that? Like, I'm so far out of the realm of knowing what that series is doing.
I think the last one I played was 3. Like, to be perfectly honest, the last one I put a ton of time into was that.
Right.
And it's not because I don't like those games. It's just the same thing where it's like after a while, it's like, yep, this is a racing game, and yes, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
These cars look great.
I mean, depending on the spec that you are loaded out in the crew, actually you can add a bunch of aftermarket stuff. So like the circuit car, you can't really do a whole bunch of stuff with the body on it because it's a circuit car. It's designed to go as fast as it can around a circuit. Whereas like the street car, you can choose your exhaust, the side trims, the front bumpers, the spoilers. You can do all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
On the street car or on the performance car. On the raid vehicle, which is the off-road like madness one, you can put like the extra tires on the back. You can jump the ride height up, bigger different wheels, all that kind of stuff on that. But on the circuit one, which is the one I'm primarily using at the moment, nope. Good luck.
Man.
I don't know. I like the crew. The crew it has been fun, and I'm not taking it too seriously, despite the fact that it has wiped out my ability to play anything else right now. Mostly just because of time constraints, because that is what it is. The other thing I've been playing is Slice and Dice. Go listen to We Roguelike It. Go listen to that entire range of series of episodes on that. I cannot stop playing this game, Boston.
Yeah, I'm happy it's not on iOS, because,
that is my problem. So that is 100% the root cause of my problem is the fact that it is on my cell phone, and I have access to my cell phone when I am sitting down doing other things. You know what I'm talking about. Let's not make it disgusting in here.
We're all adults here, please. Everybody poops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like a good poop joke like the next person, but...
Yeah.
Boston loves them right now. Hey-o!
Hey-o. I'm sick.
I don't know. It's become a problem, and it's become such a problem that I've even put a bunch of like screenshots in the We Roguelike It channel of all the crap items I'm getting.
Yep.
Horrendously bad items.
You somehow managed to get a tier 0 item, which didn't know was a thing.
Cool.
Which did nothing and had nothing on it.
Yep.
And then I think I put another one in there the other day that literally did nothing again. Like different items still did nothing. I was like, why? Like, why must you torture me so? Oh, apparently I did not put that second item in there. Oh. And that is my problem.
Put your phone down.
No, just 2 more turns. Just 1 more turn. Come on, man.
I won't. You'll know I'm playing it because you'll hear the beautiful...
Yeah, you hear the dice falling.
Of the dice. That's how you can tell that I'm playing it. That's the real goodness. I don't know. This game's too good, man.
It's very good.
Like, I don't know why it is as good as it is. Like, I do know why it is as good as it is, because mechanically it's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I posted my picture of my new item in that Discord channel. It's paper, and it literally adds nothing to the left-hand side.
Great. I love it.
And the keyword on it is nothing.
And love it.
You highlight that keyword, and it says does nothing. It is that stupid humor that the game has come back to bite me again, and it's just like, I hate you.
I love this.
I hate you so much. It's really good. If you like roguelikes and you have the availability and the ability to do so, go give it a shot. It was like $7. Like it's cheap as hell anywhere you want to get it. And my final game this week, which transitions nicely, I'm assuming, over to Mr. Nimp over here.
Yeah, it will probably for a long time.
Because I also did get this controller too.
Woohoo!
Moon is holding up an Xbox
wave.
Yeah, like a cosmic swirly Xbox controller.
Except the one downside with this controller is it's wired. But it's cool because it works with my PC, and more importantly, it works with Helldivers. Helldivers 2. Let me speak the
Thank you.
correct terminology here. Which me and Rob jumped on and played a couple of games. Hey, folks, that game is really difficult. Like,
Yeah.
real difficult. Like, those robots do not mess around.
No.
Because we went for the hard side first, because why wouldn't we?
No.
Why would we go for the thing that doesn't shoot back when we can go for the thing that does shoot back? Like,
Yeah.
that's, you know. And why would we not jump into the mission where you have to escort civilians when we don't know how to do that? Like, you know, it makes perfect sense.
Where
Naturally,
you have to let them out and then, you know, protect them as they run to the shuttle. Yeah.
And then they stopped and just didn't refuse to move at that point. And I was just like, where's the shuttle? Why are you not going to the shuttle? Move to the shuttle. And they wouldn't. So we failed that mission hard. I can tell immediately that Rob bought the Super Special Edition because he is a super citizen, which is a mouthful for me to say.
I actually bought that edition this week as well because I've been having so much fun with the game. I was like, yeah, here's an extra $20.
Extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I have the Stratagem arcade game on my ship as well, which is the dumbest thing. For people who don't know, it's a giant arcade cabinet that's on your ship. It is like the oldest looking thing ever on it, and all it does is it shows a stratagem at the top, and it gives you the directional keys that you need to press, and you need to hurry up and go through all of them before the time runs out.
Okay.
And there are levels, and it gets progressively harder as you play.
Boy.
Yeah. Is there a reason for it? No, there's not.
No.
It's just there for you to get good with stratagems.
It's just fun.
Yeah, that's it. And boy, I put in a lot of time with that stupid game.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I might have already annoyed Rob to death because I cannot stop admiring the horns. And that's not a grown-up joke. That is a legitimate point of, like, the soundtrack has the Starship Troopers horns. I love the Starship Troopers horns. And they use them so effectively in this game that it's kind of unreal how good it is. Yeah. It looks beautiful. It plays well when you know what you're doing, and you keep, you don't keep forgetting the buttons over and over again. I don't know. I need to find some more time to play it. I've been otherwise engaged doing dumb stuff. Go check out the promotion channel on the Discord if you want to see what I've been doing. It was so much fun, so much stupidness, so great to play. And again, it's that great sound design thing that I haven't really felt since like Battlefield, where like when you step on those plates to get into the bullets that fire at the ground, it's a good old ka-chunk noise when you lock your feet into it, and then them being fired is a good, like, it's got some really solid sound design, and I love a good solid sound
here
design.
is good.
And I like the fact that like when you're on the ship, it loads those chambers in like bullets, and like you can see it like a revolver. It's got them loading it underneath the floor. And then when one gets fired, it loads another one in, and then the whole row of them come forwards.
That's
it's
cool.
a really nice world-building little touch. We did like 4 or 5, 6 missions, something like that. It was loud. It was very loud. The game is loud.
Yes.
I was mostly just messing around with the robots, trying to figure out what we're doing, how to play. We still have the basic equipment because we haven't played that much of it. We're not NIMP over here. Well, like getting used to the...
It'll just make you feel better for a little bit. Wait until you get a couple levels in.
I'm probably going to have to at this point, to be honest.
Well, because the automated robots, they all have armor. All of them. Where the bugs don't. So your weapons now are a lot more effective against the bugs, and once you unlock more weapons and better stratagems, then you'll be more comparable to taking on the robots.
Probably, yes.
But right now, probably a good portion of your bullets are just bouncing off of the robots. They're not even doing damage. So.
Oh yeah, we do get the solid kapling noise, and it gives you that logo, which gives you the reflected bullet symbol, and it's like, great.
Yeah. It's really cool to see because when you shoot them with the machine gun. You're watching everything. It's not great when you're playing, but it looks really cool.
Oh, 100%. Like, my favorite thing still is to just dive to prone and then just use that machine gun like I was in Battlefield.
Mhm.
Like throw myself on the ground, mount that thing on its legs, and then just go ham on whatever robot is in front of me. I don't know. The game is gorgeous and great, and to tell you how much it's taken over certain people's minds, the second we started playing Lethal Company, Rob said, we could be playing Helldivers too. It's like, no, no, Rob.
That's how
Focus.
it gets
Playing Lethal Company. It's Lethal Company Day. We play Lethal Company on Fridays.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I did not write that down. We did play Lethal Company, but the same old, same old. Anyway, Helldivers 2 is fantastic. Nimp, how did you do in it this week?
So I've been doing a lot of random stuff. I have been helping a lot of randos on the lower levels because I was getting kind of burnt out with the higher end stuff. Because you will get to a point where your weapons aren't really that effective against the higher difficulties with some of the bigger stuff that it's throwing at you, but it's too much for the lower difficulties. So I just kind of put it on, I think challenging is like difficulty 4. I threw it on challenging, and that's where a lot of the lower end leveled people are at. So I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll just help out a bunch of randos with that. And for the most part, it's been fine. There are steadily getting more a-holes on the servers, so you'll get people who will just randomly kick you out of a match when you get to the end. It doesn't happen a lot. I think it's only happened once or twice this entire week I've been playing. Those people I just instantly block. That way I don't ever have to deal with them again. But everyone else is usually fine. I still don't play with a microphone, and I tend to just let other people lead. So I just follow them to whatever they want to do. And I don't communicate unless things are going horribly wrong. Like, hey, we're out of reinforcements and we haven't even completed the first objective on this map yet.
Right.
Like, you guys have screwed up so hard that I am just running the objective and I'm getting out. And you guys are coming along whether you like it or not, because I'm not dealing with this. Ferror did get on for a little bit, and I was able to play with her for a little bit. I didn't have a mic on because I was getting ready to leave when she jumped on. I was like, all right, well, we'll play this. My worst match ever, because we were doing the bugs, and we were doing a higher difficulty, and all of a sudden there's like 3 or 4 chargers, which are the big armored bugs. There's like acid spitters just all over the place. And I am trying to kill something with a railgun because every time I turn around, there's a huge thing that's chasing me. So I'm running around, I'm diving, doing all this dumb stuff. And I just keep getting hit and then ragdolled, across the map. And I was only getting aggravated because nobody else on the team had the equipment to take them out. So everything was honing in on me for the most part. Not all the time, but there were definitely times I got hit by one charger, and as soon as I stood up, got hit by the second charger, and while I was in the air, got puked acid on. So all this stuff, and I just kept dying. And one time, Ferror ran to my corpse, grabbed my railgun. Her first time ever using it, blows herself up because she forgot about the safety.
You had the safeties
off.
Because
I always turn the safety off, and she forgot.
That's not Ferror's fault. That's your fault.
No, it's not, because that was my weapon.
Pharaoh.
Don't
That's how it goes.
It's also part of the experience too of like, wait, why did I blew myself up. Yep, Helldivers.
As soon as it happens, I hear over the audio, oh, forgot about safety.
Just getting the full true experience.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still a lot of dumb fun. One day I will get a group together and we'll mess around with it. But just still playing with randos is still enjoyable to me. That's all I do. Like, I hop on for like a mission or two and then I hop off, just because I got a lot of crap that I've been going through. And depending on the missions, like the defense, like you were talking about how with the escorts for the civilians, those and the defend position ones are usually pretty quick. Usually the defend ones, you have to kill like 120 enemies and then you're just out. Okay. And you're usually on top of like a hill that you're defending. So as long as you have a semi-competent team, you can pull it off in like a couple of minutes, no problem. Those are a lot of the ones that I've been doing right now, just so that I could get, a quick hit in before I have to do real life stuff. So I'm looking forward to playing more. Looking forward to playing with everybody else. We have the LFG channel back up on Discord, so everyone's been posting random stuff in there for, hey, I'm jumping on to play this and this. Who's, who all's going to be on? So keep an eye on that. But yeah. My last game that I'm going to talk about in my section before we move on to Boston is I had played, and let me look it up. I played Remnant with Faeror this weekend. Or I'm sorry, not this weekend, this past Tuesday. We got stuck on a boss for about 48 minutes, and we know this because Faeror popped an experience booster. And the best part about this is when you pop these boosters, they're good for a set amount of time. I think this one was for 2 hours. Okay. It's in-game time. So if you shut the game off and you're not playing, it's not ticking in the background. It picks back up once you get back into the game. So if you run across any of those, just go ahead and use it. There's no reason not to. But that is how we know that it took us 48 minutes on this stupid boss to fight, because she looked at the counter for that thing. The boss that we had issues with, I don't even think, the Barbed Terror.
Oh, okay.
And I have a very big expletive next to that name. Actually, a long string of expletives next to that name. Let me get past the swearing. Okay, so, because I'm trying to remember how this is set up. So, when you walk past this fog door, you've got like a half circle in front of you. And this boss is basically in a mound that's in front of you. And it's a very small space. And it's a pretty big boss that pops out of it. It's got a giant, like, scythe arm for its left arm, regular arm for its right arm. And it just attacks you, normally, at first. And then all of a sudden it starts calling in spikes from the walls. To the left and to the right of you. And in front of you. And it's got it's got a lower set of spikes that it'll shoot off at once, and an upper set of spikes that will shoot down to you.
Its name is making a lot more sense now.
Yeah. So after we fought it a handful of times, I got annoyed and just looked up, what are we supposed to do? Like, we couldn't get our timing down with this boss because it's constantly changing what it's doing. It's doing more than one attack at once, which is abnormal for a Souls kind of game. Usually, you have your windows. This one, we didn't have a window. There wasn't even enough of a gap for you to heal yourself, either with your heart or casting the healing circle. Mm-hmm. The healing circle, you barely had enough time, if you timed it right, to get that thrown. But definitely, like, reviving or trying to heal yourself with a dragon heart, there just wasn't any time. You were getting hit by something else, which would then cancel that action. So after looking it up, a lot of people on the forums were like, there is a super easy cheese for this boss.
Yes, let's do it.
Cool, let's hear it. When you walk in through the fog door, you are on a slightly lower area, and then you have to kind of climb up like a step or two, and then you're on the main fighting area. Everyone was just saying, just crouch down in that area. Do not move from that area. Obviously, dodge when it goes to hit you with its arm, but anytime it does a spike attack, just stay crouched down in that pit, and nothing's going to hit you. Don't move. Don't try to heal. Don't do anything. Just crouch down. Everything will go above you, except for the upper spikes. Those you still have to deal with. So, okay. Well, if we can null out one attack, we can start to make this happen. It started turning into a bigger issue because this game has a sliding mechanic in it. So if you're running and you try to get into the hole and you go to do a dive, which this game doesn't have because I'm still in Helldivers control mode, I end up sliding into the hole and then sliding right back out the other end and taking every single spike it shoots. Like, cool. And usually it got to a point where if one of us goes down, like, that's it. It's like, just keep trying to go as far as you can. Yeah. It's not even worth trying to revive. But we did find out after a little bit, if you get behind their body of the person that you're reviving, they still have a technical hitbox. So the corpse will take the one spike instead of you, so you could potentially still revive somebody.
Okay.
And these were the dumb little things that we were figuring out while we fought this boss for 48 minutes.
Yeah.
We finally get to a point where, because we're like summoning our skulls in, and the skulls were being a pain because they will fly up to the boss. And the weak point of this boss was its head, and that's where all of our skulls were lined up, just crowding its head and shooting, which is great, except for when we're trying to shoot it. It's like we're not getting crits because our skulls are blocking the way. We finally get to a point where somehow we just got it like all the way down. We didn't heal. Like, this was just that perfect run where it's like neither one of us healed. We just happened to get all the timing down for dodging. We had our iframes right. Boss wasn't able to do anything. We finally took the stupid thing out. Like, cool. That's
the best kind of running like Soulsian games, is that moment when everything just clicks.
Yeah, and you get that perfect run that you cannot try again because it's not going to work. So we go back to base. Reset ourselves up. We use our boss mod and all that stuff since we got the drop for the boss. And then we continue into the swamp. And then we get to a point where I recognize another fog door. And that is the stupid ferry bridge fight, which has to be the only fight. Yeah. So Iglius.
Good old Iglius.
I was telling Ferror when I saw it, I'm like, no, come on. Like, we just had another fight. I don't want to deal with this right now. And I was like, all right, screw it. Let's just go through the fog door, and I will try to walk you through everything that is happening.
Yep.
And apparently my memory was a little fuzzy because I was misremembering some things. First thing you see is you walk on, it's basically a wooden suspended bridge. And it has on either side, it has like wooden posts and stuff to stop you from running off of it. Those don't last very long because they're destructible.
Yep.
The boss will swing its spear at you. It will charge and swing its spear at you. It will send like waves of energy at you. It will summon these tiny, I was calling them snowflakes, but I think they're like tiny little fairies. They look like dogwood, or like in real life, they look like dogwood seeds, the little cotton balls floating in the air during the spring. Those will slowly start to come at you, and there's like tons of them. And if they touch you, they deal damage. So I'm trying to explain all of this crap to Ferror, and then it starts charging up, and it does like this yell attack, which is like an AoE. You can't dodge it. The only thing you can do is keep attacking them to try to stagger them to stop them.
Yeah, you have to like do enough damage to stagger them.
Yeah. We did. God, are you pulling up the
sure did,
boss?
Because I had this when Hannah and Bill and I were playing this too. We're like, oh, look at this cool boss. It's like a fairy thing. And like 2 hours later, we're like, please, God, I just want to finish this boss. This is the worst.
So we haven't even gotten to the worst part yet, because it can also charge up like this golden beam that it just shoots through the bridge. Does tons of damage that you have to block. And then once you do, I think it's like once you get it down a quarter, it summons the Junior.
Yep.
So you're fighting like Iglius, 10 or 9 or something like that?
It says 15 here.
15, okay. So then Iglius 14 will show up on the other side of the bridge. So now you're fighting 2 of these stupid things at once.
Yep.
And every once in a while, one will back away from the bridge, so then you kind of concentrate on the one that's currently attacking you. Or no, I guess it's 6. Well, yeah. No, I guess
16,
it's 16.
Yeah.
But it's 15 and 16. So it's just this dumb game. So now we're getting it from both ends, and then we just get wiped. Partially my fault, because in the middle of the bridge, there's these 2 areas on both sides that are like super thick wooden beams, and I was like, okay, I think those are non-destructible. We hide behind those when it does its charge attack. No, the charge attack just blew through both of those.
Yeah,
and
it hits everything.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, that's me. I forgot that apparently doesn't work the way I was thinking it was working, and we both get wiped. And I'm sitting there just, man, I don't want to do this right now. Like, I'm thinking we made it a third person. I might have to go into like a forum and grab somebody and be like, hey, we just need a rando for this stupid boss. Somebody please show up. If there was like, well, let's just...
I love you on Discord.
But then Pharaoh was like, let's just run it one more time just to kind of get it down. I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Flawless victory second time.
Yes.
No problems whatsoever.
Excellent.
We summoned our skulls at just the right time where the one backs away from the bridge, so you can still attack it range-wise, but it's not doing anything to you, and both of our skulls follow it. So while we're concentrating on the new one that showed up that has a brand new health bar, our skulls are like slowly whittling away the health of the other one.
Oh, that's
so when the other one shows back up, it was just like pop, pop, and then that one's down. So we just had the one to contend with, and we got that one down no problem.
Man.
And I think I was telling Pharaoh, I was like, this has been the easiest time I have ever taken these things down with, even with like 3 people. Like, this fight has always been a challenge. It has always sucked, and I always hated it. And we just walked through it like it wasn't an issue at all.
Jeez. Yeah, we had so much trouble, and we had 3 players. Like,
yeah.
So
and
good.
Now I'm just annoyed because Pharaoh doesn't get to experience the pain and anguish that the rest of us did.
That's right.
It's not even so much that we beat the boss and we had a good time. It's like, no, that was meant to suck for you. Like,
that's right.
So yeah, after that,
totally not going to make a boomer joke here. I'm not going to make a boomer joke. I'm not going to make a boomer joke.
Everyone has to experience the fire at least once.
Right.
But after that, we went back to the base and just healed back up, and then we just called it a night from there. But yeah, Remnant 1, still a fantastic game.
Yep.
And I am looking forward to see where we get next. And that is all. Oh, one last thing, because Pharaoh, you can close out the video if you want. Pharaoh had to make the choice between if we're giving, the fairy soul or whatever to the undead king or not.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, should I betray him? And I'm like, it's your game.
Right.
I'm just going to stand back here, and depending on your choice will depend on what we end up happening.
Just going to reload my guns here real quick.
Yeah. And while she was talking with the undead king, I'm sitting there just screwing around, and then I start to notice, and this is a dumb thing to notice, hey, their audio, when they're talking, I can balance it between both ears when I move the camera. So I'm looking to the left and getting it looking to the right and getting it in the left ear, and looking to the left and getting it in the right ear. I'm just doing this dumb stuff, and she's like, you're not even paying attention. It's like, I know what's going to happen. It just depends on what you pick. Come on. So, yeah. So Remnant, great game. Still love it.
Still very
good. That is all I've been playing in this segment.
All right, I have finished Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. My final time on the clock was 69 hours and 8 minutes after like all the ending cutscenes and everything. Like, once it brings you back into the open world, they call it Premium Adventure, which is basically like you finish the game, now you can just explore the whole thing with all the stuff you had at the end of the game.
Was it super grindy for you, pumping as much time into it as you did, as quickly as you did? Or would you rather like taking your time a bit more?
I feel like I took exactly the right amount of time, because the last chapter of the game was, I was a little bit over leveled, but not so much to the point where I'm like yawning my way through bosses or anything. So I feel like I kind of had the right experience, I think, because once I was at the final chapter, I was like, all right, I'm just going to motor my way through the rest of this and kind of focus on it and try and wrap this up, since I'm now kind of at the end here. I really, really liked this game overall. I have some problems with the final chapter, but pretty much all of my problems are end game spoilers, so I can't really talk about them, unfortunately. So
it sucks when redacted happens, and
yeah, and it's frustrating because like the complaints that I have are so foundational to how the game works that I don't want to talk about really any of them. And my complaints and my criticisms are fairly minor. It's not like, oh, these things happened and now this game is bad. It's all just kind of like, well, I wish these two things were different. I feel like that would have made it kind of a maybe a bit more of a like a cohesive game. But the ending I thought was incredible. I thought it was really, really great. Didn't really go the way that I was expecting it to go, which is even better for a game that you're spending almost 70 hours on. And I had a blast. I wholeheartedly recommend it. I am still going to stick with... I got a question this week from one of my wife's friends that was like, oh yeah, you're playing one of those Yakuza games. Where should I start? It's like, okay, start at 0.
0.
You really love that? Feel free to play all of them. They're on every modern platform. I still recommend... I think my new recommendation would probably be play 0, play Yakuza Like a Dragon. If you really like that, then go play Like a Dragon Gaiden, and then play this. Some people are recommending you could just hop into Infinite Wealth. There's some story stuff in the back half of that game that largely relies on something that happened in Yakuza Like a Dragon, in the back half of that game, that kind of... In this game, they kind of drop it, and it's like a big deal if you played the original game, or the previous game, but if you haven't, it's just sort of like, okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
So still recommend doing that. You should play 0 because it's incredible, and you should get the kind of like Kiryu and Majima, and like all of them, their kind of origin story.
Their love tussle.
That's right. That's right. Now that I beat the game, the DLC stuff opens up because I bought it's like the Master Vacation bundle or something. It's the extra post game stuff. It also, unfortunately, is the stuff that comes with the New Game Plus, which I think still sucks. I think that 99% of people aren't going to play it, but I think New Game Plus for any game should either be a free patch or should be a part of the base game itself. Yeah. Thankfully, the platinum is separated away from the Master Vacation stuff. So if you don't have the bundle, you don't have New Game Plus or whatever, you don't need that for the platinum. You don't need that for 100% of the game or anything like that. So that's a good, because I like how they do that on the PS4, and did this too, where they have like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is one selection for the trophies, and then there's another section that's like the Master Vacation bundle that's another sort of subsection. I like how they break those apart.
I like it too, but it's always weird when you look at the percentage completion before you dig down into it, and it's like, oh, 50%, and then you pull it up and it's like, oh, base game's at 80%, DLC is at,
That's where I'm at, because I'm at like 70% completion. I'm like, I've been popping trophies like crazy, and the main game is like, no, you're at like 89%. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
It makes sense. It's just weird to look at. So.
Yeah, it's like it's the averages is odd. Something I do, this isn't a spoiler, but something I do like that they did post game is when you get back into the open world, they ratchet the difficulty all the way up. So like I am fighting enemies in the open world that are at level or higher of the level of enemies I was fighting in the final dungeon. So I appreciate that, because the game was getting pretty easy at the end, which is fine. Like I talked a couple weeks ago about the thing where you run into lower level enemies, you pull L2 and it just one-shots them and you move on. But if I'm trying to raise my level up to go do some of the higher difficulty stuff that I'll get to in a second, I need more difficult enemies in the game to be able to continue to raise my level. Because I have the DLC, the post-game dungeon opened up called the Big Swell, and that is another one of the there's 2 randomly generated dungeons in the game, and it's basically like that's the place you can go for get like crafting materials, get items, like rare equipment and gear, and level up your party members. They opened up that after the game finished, and that is real tough. I got to the boss of the first set of floors, like the first 5 floors. That thing wiped me hard. So like this game is now not messing around in that post game stuff. And I've already leveled up a whole bunch. I think I'm like level 60 at this point. And I got caught blindsided by an enemy that stunned my entire party and just took them out one by one. I was like, okay, great, cool. All right, back to the surface. Let's go.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm not too mad because like I didn't really take proper precautions because I'm like, yeah, it's just a random enemy, no big deal, whatever. And then it was not a whatever. It was very much a big problem. So I appreciate that stuff is in there, and I appreciate that that the difficulty is really good there. And a lot of what I'm doing now is just kind of cleaning up a lot of the rest of the trophies because the platinum is really reasonable. I think the hardest one that I'll run into is getting Kasuga up to level 70. But with the Big Swell DLC stuff, there's a ton of stuff in there, so I'll probably either get that in there or get pretty close to that in there. So, and there's still one minigame I haven't found yet. The Sicko Snap, which is Pokemon Snap, but you're taking pictures of like Hawaii's perverts because it's a Yakuza game.
It's a Yakuza game. Yep.
Yeah. I haven't found that yet, but I haven't gone through all of like the speech bubbles on the map I'm assuming it's a sub story to unlock that. I just haven't found the sub story yet because I'm going through all of those now at this point, because not only is there a trophy for them, I would be doing them anyways because either they're sad or they're totally bonkers. And I appreciate that, either one, for that.
But that's how colorful this game is too. Like not just the building, like Hawaii itself. If you've ever been, the tourist areas are very colorful for obvious aesthetic reasons. But like even the menus and stuff that you have, especially with the bike thing that you're doing right now, or the video that you have.
Yeah, the crazy
everything
taxi
is
with
like,
the bike.
Yeah, everything is like super vibrant and colorful, and it just looks really nice.
Yeah, they did a really good job on this game, especially making Hawaii look cool. You're in Honolulu, and they do a good job of making it look cool and kind of fantastical at the same point. The thing that will always get, like when we talk about Death Stranding, we talk about like keep on keeping on, the phrase you hear all the time. And in this one is Kasuga. There's a really cool system in this game where you are making friends with people on the street, and there's like this quasi social media network where there's like 200 individual people in Hawaii that you're making friends with, and you are closer friends with them every time you say hi to them on the street. And there's some people you like give them food or you buy stuff in their shops or things like that. But every time you say hello to people, like 9 times out of 10, he just says aloha. So like that's the thing. I think he's just walking, like doing the like shocker bog aloha, and he really loves Hawaii, and it's really great. So highly recommended. I feel like the glowing review I can give this game is I played 70 hours of it, and then I'm just continuing to go play more of it because there's more stuff for me to do, even in the face of other giant RPGs came out a couple days ago, and there's another giant RPG that's coming out in a couple of days. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm still playing Infinite Wealth, and that's really good. So I could just keep doing that. So highly recommended. Again, play Zero, play Yakuza Like a Dragon, and then play Infinite Wealth. You got like, I don't know, 300, 400 hours of incredible RPGs to play there. Yeah. And I think they're all on Game Pass. I don't remember if Yakuza Like a Dragon is or not, but that game is pretty cheap either way. So, all right. Our final game here that Nimp and I are both going to talk about. Remember, no spoilers. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you're watching the video version, this is the beginning of the game where the demo took place. Nimp, did you watch the previously on video that is in the game? I did. I put my controller down, I grabbed a drink, I was like ready for this big masterpiece. It's like maybe 3 minutes of Red 13 being like, the planet's dying, Destiny, the Whispers, I remember Sephiroth. Anyways, over to Rebirth, and I was like, wait, that wasn't like...
You didn't really do anything.
Wait, you missed like a whole... You missed a lot here, Red 13. What are you doing here?
Well, and then you go and actually start a new game, and they kind of do another recap.
Yeah.
And then they start playing with time.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the opening cutscene here
too much
because it is confusing and a spoiler in a way that it has to be, but I don't know how yet. So just play the game, I guess. But we talked about this on Pup yesterday. The thing that I was really concerned about going into... There were two things I was concerned about going into Rebirth. And one of the big ones was when you played the original Final Fantasy VII, you go through the entirety of Midgar, and you do the highway chase, and you get out, you get into the open world, and then, unless you do like the Phoenix Tower thing, the very first thing you hit is calm, and the game kind of like screeches to a halt as you do the Nibelheim flashback stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, boy, I really hope they don't do that in this game too, because that would be a real bummer. And the thing they do that's really smart is the beginning of this game is you guys sitting in calm. Like, the very first scene is you guys sitting in calm, starting the Nibelheim flashback, and that flashback is your tutorial for how to play Final Fantasy VII again. And I think that's really smart, because they don't just dump you into the open world and say, like, good luck. Also, we're going to hope you don't have any fun, because we're going to screech to a halt here in a second. I think that was great.
The best part is, if you... Because the demo is still up. If you play the demo first, because you do get, like, in-game... like an accessory
get, like,
and a summon
bonuses.
material or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to play the demo. You just have to turn the demo on, save, and then you can start the actual game, and that'll move that stuff over. However, if you do play the demo, in Nibelheim, you got that whole section. It's like you're in the little town, and then you guys go to the reactor. You can, if you have this completed save data from the demo, you can skip going to the reactor, and it just catches back up to once you've returned.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's nice.
So that's a little thing. That way, you're not replaying the reactor over again.
Right.
But, the voice acting on this is still great.
I wish the sound mixing was a little better. The music and sound effects are a little. You gotta turn those down a couple clicks when you get in the game.
Now, the reason why I'm bringing up the voice acting right now is because very specifically in this point, you have the ability to go into Tifa's room and make Cloud the biggest pervert ever in the original game.
Yep.
And in this game, it is exactly the same, where it's like you go into Tifa's house and Tifa's like, wait, you went into my house? And Cloud's like, yeah. I thought you would be there. Tifa
in calm in like the current day,
present day or whatever,
is like narrating, because they do a really great, when you get into Nibelheim, you're there with Sephiroth, and Sephiroth is like, oh, this reminds me of my own, don't worry about my dad, but like my mom Genova. And like as soon as he says that, Barrett cuts in, and it looks like you've paused like a film, like a reel-to-reel player, and Barrett's like, what is it? Genova, that's the thing we found. And Cloud's like, give me a minute, I'm trying to like tell a story here, man. And then it brings it back to playing. So like the modern day, current day people are narrating over your gameplay of the Nibelheim flashback, which is great.
There are times where Barrett has said, it's like, well, give me a reason to hate Sephiroth, and Cloud's like, yeah, it's coming, just shut up.
It's called a story, Barrett, shut it.
But anyway, so once you go into Tifa's room, or into her house, you know, you can, there's certain things that you can see, like you can see that there's a cat dish, and then Tifa will interject from present day and be like, yeah, blah blah blah, you remember my cat, kind of thing. And then you can go up to her room, and Tifa's like, Cloud, you went into my room? And he's like, yeah. And you go in there, and there's only two things you can interact with this in here, and one of them's new, and the newest thing is the piano.
Right.
In the demo, you actually got Tifa's theme as a sheet music, so you could sit there and play the piano.
Oh, wow.
In the actual game, that is not there. It is just a piano, and you can sit there and mess with it. And I am not a pianist. However, I have seen a lot of videos of people who are playing with that piano, and they're like, this is actually pretty competent for
Oh,
how
wow.
they have it all set up. And it takes a little bit because there's a whole mini game that's in the demo that's not here in the main game just yet, but there's like a whole thing that you can play and do, and it was interesting. It took a little bit to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
The pervert part is you can go into Tifa's wardrobe closet.
Mm-hmm. And I like that the game is like, Tifa says, like, you went into my wardrobe, and you get the option of just like, LOL, just kidding, or yeah, I actually did. Like, you get two options.
And the way these lines are delivered with Cloud going, yeah. And it kind of has like that defeated moment of realizing he's admitting
like,
this
yes,
out loud to the person.
Yeah, because when she says, like, you went into my house, and he's like, well, I thought you would be there. And then she's like, you went in my room? And he goes, yeah, I did.
And the best part is when you admit that you went through it, and that's actually up in the video right now, Aerith and Tifa both yell at you.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious because they do it in unison.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good.
So yes, that's the fun part of the flashback, and you can continue on there, and you get, you know, the fun moments that we all remember from 25 years ago at this point now. So
the thing that I was really impressed by in this Nibelheim flashback, it's really long because it's a Final Fantasy VII remake game. It's really long. But I think one of the things that I think this does much better than the original game is, in the original game, Sephiroth is a war hero, and he's famous. And he's famous because of reasons. And, like, they don't really go into it a lot, at least in the original game. Yeah. I'm not talking about, like, the spin-offs and stuff. One thing that I think they do really well in this is they show very clearly why Sephiroth is so famous and so beloved, because, like, Cloud is having trouble. Cloud and, like, the two other soldiers that are with him are having trouble fighting two enemies, and Sephiroth is, like, one-handed swinging his sword and just one-shotting both of them like nothing. And you can see why he's so beloved, because the game actually goes quite a bit into the, like, charismatic nature of him. Like, he is attractive like everybody else is in this game, but, like, there's something about him that I think the game does a really good job of being like, yeah, I could see why not only is he strong, not only is he, like, a war hero, but you could see why he's beloved. You could see why people like him, because there's something there to him, and I think that makes his eventual decline over the period of the Nibelheim flashback hit more than I think it did in the original game, because you get so much more time of him, like, kind of charming Cloud and joking with Tifa and, like, trying to save the soldiers when the bridge collapsed. Like, you get all this extra stuff, and I think for as much of a detriment as that could be in the first game, especially the wall market stuff where you're like, please, I've been here for so long, it can be a benefit here in Rebirth where you're like, okay, now I see why people liked Sephiroth. He wasn't just the dude that burnt down Nibelheim. He was a war hero.
And it is weird seeing Sephiroth smile.
It's very weird.
And, you know,
like
kind of having a joke. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man, you can't stop trying to humanize him. I know.
Yeah, it's
like,
very...
I don't need this right now.
But I did really like a lot. So there are 3 difficulty options in this game, which I think is really interesting. There's easy, normal, and then dynamic. And dynamic is like, yeah, we're going to change the difficulty based on how well you're doing. And it was very much like, if you want a challenge and, like, push the limits, you should try dynamic. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty fun, but, like, maybe I'll just stick with normal. And then maybe 3 fights into the game, just like the last one, I put it down to easy.
Yeah, I just started out on easy because I was like, this is going to be a long haul game, and I don't need to be messing with the battle system right now.
And honestly, it's the same problem I had with the previous one, where you're going and you're fighting like a wolf in the mountains. It's taking like 20 slices from the Buster Sword. And I'm like, this guys, come, like, this is a tutorial battle. Like, I get it. I'm supposed to stagger this enemy, but once I'm getting into some of the stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute, I shouldn't be slashing stuff like 20, 30 times for one
that
enemy.
sword has to weigh 120 pounds. Just dropping it on its neck should decapitate it. I mean, come on.
Like it's so I'm having a lot more fun with easy, and like the boss battles are still interesting on easy because you still get to see all the mechanics, but it's not this like 10-minute slog just to fight a boss.
Of you trying to figure out, oh crap, how am I healing? And my ATB isn't charged and I can't do anything. And
so I like that they kept the Nibelheim flashback largely in place. I thought that turned out really well through the entirety of it. Whoever's voice acting, both Cloud and Sephiroth are doing a killer job. I think they're really great. I think Barrett's voice actor has toned it down a little bit, which I greatly appreciate, because he was a little bit too much in the first one. And Red 13's voice actor is still really good.
Is super deep.
Yeah.
Every time you hear that guy talk, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And same thing with Tifa and Aerith too. It's still fun listening to them, especially. Aerith has always got like this weird pedestal thing with me where it's like she's the nice country girl.
Right.
And so it still makes me giggle anytime she swears or anytime she fumbles. They use it to
really good effect in this. It's really great. I like that once you finish the flashback, you are left to kind of your own devices around Calm to kind of explore that city.
Really awesome. Like,
it's really awesome. I have the same. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it looks like you are starting out in the wrong game. Like it full on pulls the Final Fantasy for Calm, which is great because that's how it looked like in the original. Mm-hmm. But now you get to explore it in 3D, so you get to see the clock tower and the buildings, and you get to see the castle turrets and all that stuff for Calm. Yeah, it's really great to explore. I love it. Love this crap. It was the same thing when I was doing Legend of Heroes, when I was going from the Crossbell sagas from like the PSP versions to now I get to see that stuff and the newer like Class 7 stuff where it's like, okay, now I can see from a different point of view, a different angle of this part of the town.
I can actually see all of it. Yeah. I still have the same complaint for this walking around towns that I do for the previous game, which is sometimes you're walking around town and unlike the Yakuza games where they have people talking in town, they have like little speech bubbles and but there's no voice acting. Mm-hmm. In this one, everybody you're walking by that's having a conversation has full voice acted lines. And sometimes there's like 2 or 3 conversations going on at the same time, and it makes me feel crazy. Like there's just like so much stuff happening all at once. It's like I need you all to just take a breather and just shut up.
Especially with the subtitles, because anything that's not story related to your characters is on like the left side of the screen, and it just kind of scrolls up. Yeah. And so you will see that thing just run if you walk through a group of people. Yeah. So it's like, what the heck?
But I was happy that as soon as you get done with the Nibelheim stuff, they're just like, all right, welcome to the game. Here's Queen's Blood, the card game of Final Fantasy VII. I was like, oh, I didn't even have like an hour before they gave it to me. Let's try this out. Whoops, it's real good. Oh, no. So
I like that you and I got stuck on 2 different people.
You got stuck on the kid who keeps swearing, and I got stuck on Crybaby Ned, who probably some of my favorite voice acting in this game. It's a guy that's nervous about playing random people in Queen's Blood, and he starts getting more upset, and he starts like getting more teary, and then at the end he's just like, I get way better the more I start crying. Let's get it on. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so good. And then like he beats you, and he's like, even crybabies can win.
Yeah, and when you beat him, like he'll tell Cloud, it's like it looks like you're carrying a lot emotionally. Sometimes having a good cry just feels great. And I was like, damn, that hit kind of close to home.
Thanks, Ned. That was good advice. So Queen's Blood is really, really interesting because it's a combination of like some old Final Fantasy kind of card-based, point-based things, and Marvel Snap of all things. If you take Marvel Snap and you flip it horizontally, you have 3 lanes that you're fighting for control of, and each lane has 5 squares on it. And basically, you're starting from the opposite edges of the map, and you're trying to place down cards to essentially put chess pawn markers down that where you can put other cards, and you're essentially trying to control each one of those lanes, but like Marvel Snap, the points on your side only count if you beat the points of the other player on that lane. So like maybe you capture the top lane only, but you put 13 points there, but they only put 5 and 6 points in the other ones, so you still win because 13 beats 11. The tutorial was really good, and then thankfully they give you 3 people in COM that have different strategies for you to fight against, and you get new cards not only from the store but also from those people that you fight.
And I want to say that the tutorial is good, but the tutorial does not cover everything that can happen. Because like I was talking with my son, I was explaining the game to him while he was watching me play it.
Right.
And the foul-mouthed little girl that I was fighting against was the one that showed me, I had a blue pawn here. They had put a card down next to it, and the area that it puts a pawn in also happens to be one that I quote-unquote controlled.
Right.
So it just changed that to a red pawn.
Yep. And now you can't put a card there.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, I didn't even know we could do that.
Wait a minute, that was my spot. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then you can also do the same thing, obviously, because that is how I beat Crybaby Ned, was purely by accident. I just happened to line up the center with sweepers, and they control top and bottom lanes by 2 squares, so they'll put a pawn in each one of those squares. And I managed to push them all the way over, so Ned was only able to put down 4 cards. Before I just completely blocked them out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I could still keep filling in. The game doesn't stop until both you and the opponent pass their turn one time each. Yeah. So I just kept racking up points, and it doesn't matter as long as you win by 1 point, you won. So I was just rubbing it in because I was trying to figure things out still.
Right. So that feels really good, and the game is basically like, hey man, you have a Queen's Blood rank, just fight people around the world and you'll get cards, and let's see what you get. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fight everybody. It's going to be triple triad all over again. I'm just going to be competing against everybody, and oh boy, this is going to be a real problem.
We haven't even gotten to Golden Saucer yet.
I know,
we were given one game, and we're already like, man, this is great.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of story stuff happens in COM that I really don't want to cover, because my other concern about this game was, just like the original opening of the Final Fantasy VII Remake is largely the same. You spend the entirety of the time in Midgar, you do the escape scene. Remake ends differently than the ending of Midgar in the original game that I don't want to talk about because that's all massive spoilers. But this game starts off with, at the point of Final Fantasy VII, which would be get into the open world, go exploring and find towns and stuff. And it'd been my concern up until this point about being like, most JRPGs for the last couple of years don't do open worlds anymore because that's just probably really expensive and tough from kind of a development standpoint. So I don't know what they'll do here. And when you get out of COM and they turn you into the open world, boy, it's really big. I don't think I realized how big it was until you run into Chadley again, which of course Chadley is back.
We find out something special about him.
Yeah,
the first time we meet up with him again.
Don't remember that from Remake. Maybe
I don't think that was in there.
Okay,
because I didn't know it either.
It's just sort of dropped some important info about himself pretty casually, which is like, okay, sure. But he gives you Assassin's Creed style Borgia towers to go track down and activate that will then activate, thankfully not as many, but a bunch of icons on your map of like, here's a cool thing to do, here's an activity, here's a boss to fight, stuff like that. So when he did that, I was like, that's what the open world in this reminds me of, is of an Assassin's Creed game, where it's not hugely massive, but they turn you loose in this giant area that's all covered with fog, and they're just like, yeah, go ahead. Like, you got to get over to this other point. You eventually, like, do the last thing I did was catch a chocobo so you can go through the marshlands, so you can go to the caves, you can go to Junon. Like, I'm kind of at that point.
I was say, did you go through the Mithril Caves yet, or?
I have not yet, because
I'm wrapping everything up in the first, and that's the other thing too. This is half of this continent right now, and it's already massive. We haven't gotten to the other half of this continent, and there's definitely a second continent, because that's what golden saucers are.
Well, and like, I was in the map, and I was like, I wonder if I can zoom this thing out. And I like zoom out to see more. I zoom out again to see the entirety of the area, and I zoom out again, and it shows me the entire continent. And I'm like,
it's just like
man,
a picture of the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm screwed. This is, but like, that's really exciting, because I'm trying not to Dragon Age Inquisition hinterlands myself, because the first thing you run into is like a water wheel, and it's like, oh, here's a like a point of interest. There are 2 treasure chests here. Go find them. And I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Like, you keep showing me a bunch of, and like, I found them, and like, point of interest completed. You get party XP, and I'm like, oh no. Oh,
yeah, it has a ton of things that it slowly throws at you, and a lot of things are different from Remake, which I'm kind of bothered with a little bit.
It's a very different game from Remake, which I was not like, from like a systems standpoint.
Yeah, because like, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, why can I not get to the nodes section of the weapons to level them up?
Funny story.
It's because it doesn't exist in this game anymore.
Right. Like,
they still level up, and you can still, there is still a stupid option that's exactly from Remake of, hey, the game will just automatically do this. You can either choose to manually level your weapon up, have it be balanced, defensive, or offensive. It's the exact same option window from Remake.
Right.
So I'm like, I spent a lot of time looking to try to figure, oh, maybe I have to go back to COM and do the weapon shop, there. But I couldn't do that because of story stuff. Eventually, that does open back up for you after a little bit. And then once I went back to the weapon shop, I'm like, no, this guy doesn't have an option either. So how do I get to the level this stupid weapon?
And the game at the beginning is like, did everybody have your folios? And Cloud is like, yeah, of course I have a folio. Why wouldn't I? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then they just like, oh, go to the bookstore to open up your folio. And you open up this book, and there's a sphere grid for each character inside of it. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you putting more in here? There's so much.
It's ran by like 3 different systems, because depending on what your weapon level is, proficiency, and your character levels, and how much SP you have, determines how much of the grid is actually opened and available, and what you can actually do with it. And which is cool. But it's like, this is so completely different from Remake that I'm like, what the heck?
Well, and I knew I was in trouble, because the first time you pause the game, you go into this like shadow realm where there's like this clockwork background behind you. And I'm like, oh no, what have you guys done? Like, what are we doing here? But like, they do a good job of slowly doling out that stuff over the beginning, and the tutorials in the game are fairly solid. I think they're trying to go for brevity over explaining the entire system to you, which I really appreciate. It's not like, all right, let's do the materia tutorial, step 1 of 30. There's maybe like 5 text boxes, and then they're like, hey, hit the triangle button, you can assign all the materia to everybody, whatever. So like, I think some of these systems, number one, if you're playing this without having played Remake, don't. You really need to play Remake. Yeah. If you're playing Remake without playing the original, you can probably do that, but I don't. That was already kind of a squiffy idea by the time we finished Remake, and I'm not sure if this is going to encompass other Final Fantasy VII games at this point or not. So
the shift, the different shifts that are happening with continuity.
Yes.
I don't think you would catch on to it if you didn't play the original.
Right.
Because there's been a couple of them where it's like they've been subtle enough where it's like, no, I know exactly what that is.
Right. I know what you're like squinty-eyed. Yeah. Like, I know what you're doing here.
And then there's a couple other things that have happened where it's like, I believe this is part of this.
Right.
But then it harkens back to, but is this a change
Are we still doing
that's
this?
Made? Because this is the remake thing, you know? So, which I enjoy and hate at the same time. Right. I enjoy that I don't know exactly where this is going, and anytime there's a change, I'm just like that old man. It's like, not my Final Fantasy.
That's right. How dare you? But like, so far I'm really impressed by this, and I think part of the thing that I've been really surprised about so far is how goofy a lot of it is. Like, the Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't really capture as much of the original game's goofiness that this does already. Like, even meeting Chocobo Bill, he's real goofy, and all of your party members are much more like jokey with each other than they were in Remake pretty instantly. And I dig that, because Final Fantasy VII, the original, was a pretty weird game overall, and kind of a pretty lighthearted game through most of it. So seeing them do that, it is pretty nice, and it's pretty refreshing.
And having all of your party members on a chocobo, very specifically Red 13.
It's such a good animation.
Is so.
It's so great. I
basically.
Oh, go ahead.
When you summon a chocobo, you don't have to do a button prompt or anything. You just walk up to it and you automatically crawl up on them, and then all the other chocobos show up for the rest of your party. And the best thing about this is that they added a crafting system. So there are random points for you to grab stuff, and there's no animation to it. You just run through here slamming triangle, and you're good to go.
Exactly the system from Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. It looks exactly the same, with like the icon, with like the little white line pointing down to the ground. But this time you're picking up like the essence of memories of the planet. Like, it's very weird.
I'm getting like tree branches and
iron ore.
Yeah, but the best part is when you're on top of a chocobo, when you're running around, you have to individually hit triangle for everything.
Right.
Which usually there's not a whole lot, but when you're on a chocobo and you find one of the bigger drops, you just hit triangle and it's taking out like whole swaths of things that you can pick up.
That's nice.
So that's an improvement. The biggest improvement is seeing Red 13 kind of sitting as a human would in a cat body on top of a chocobo while holding onto the reins with his front paws.
It's very good. And I'm really impressed with his tail's light source.
Yes.
I keep seeing it reflected in the Buster Sword every once in a while, and I was like, what's behind? Oh, it's Red 13. Yeah, right. Also, about the crafting system, they do a really smart thing where you have to craft an item first, and then the requirements to craft it after that go down significantly. But if you inspect the item you're trying to make, like a potion or a Phoenix Down or something, it will tell you exactly the region that the items that you need drop from. So it's like, oh, you need this iron ore, that comes from the grasslands, and it's rare or common or drops from an enemy or something like that. Like, they do a really good job of not making it like, oh, where do I get tree branches from? And the game's just like, well, I don't know, figure it out. Like, I don't want to have to go look at a wiki.
Getting them from?
Yeah, like I don't want to have to look at a wiki to make an iron bangle. Like, shut up.
Well, and then they brought in the morph command materia into this one. And I noticed that before I even had it, because when you assess an enemy, it tells you, hey, this is the common drop, the rare drop, what you can get from stealing from it, and this is what it morphs into. I'm like, oh, they brought back morph.
Yep.
And then enemy skill command materia is in this one.
Yes. Yep. Your like blue magic materia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it has an interesting way, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a different way to add enemy skills to the materia now.
Oh, okay.
And it's not how it was in the original game, which was you got hit with the attack, and then you had to win that battle to earn the skill. Yeah.
Do you get that? I know you get Morph from Chadley. Do you get the enemy skill one from him too?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Because I just unlocked his stuff and I bought one. I think I bought Steel, and then he has like 5 or 6 others, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna worry about you right now, Chadley. I have towers to go grab. I'm not even gonna grab those right now because I gotta get out of the grasslands.
Well, they've even added like different kinds of materia that weren't in the original. Like there's one that's just called Fire and Ice, and that gives you access to fire and ice magic in one instead of having the individuals. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
I didn't remember level up materia from the original. Was that in there? Yeah, where you socket it next to another one that has like one of those like combined sockets, and if you have like fire at level 1 and you socket it with the level up materia, now you have the second level fire just by itself. That's
brand
pretty
new
cool
as well. So there's also with the summons, the first one that you can do is Titan, and this was something I pointed out because I was looking at all the materia, and I'm like, why? I guess we're not doing master summons because all the summon materia is maxed out at rank 1.
Yeah, and they say this materia can't earn experience.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well that gets rid of master materia then, because you had to level up in the original, and then you got the master source materia, which then combined them all into one materia, which was fantastic.
Right.
But with Titan right now, you can fight him as soon as you meet Chadley.
Oh, okay. I didn't even try doing that.
I had noticed though, and this is something really cool with these systems now. It'll say on there, "Hey, you can fight him right now, and he's at full strength." Or you go do some things, it will lower the power that he has in combat. But when you beat him and get the materia, it increases the level of that materia. So he's stronger for you to use.
Interesting.
And what this is turned into is whenever you see a glowing stone out in the world, hit it. It will break, and it'll do like an Elder Scrolls Grace line, where it's like this little thing will come out, and it'll point you into a direction.
Oh, wow.
Explore that direction, and you will find old shrines of Titan.
Okay.
You go in there, you play a little mini game, and you've unlocked more research into it. And I've unlocked 2 of them, and I think there's only 3. So I've unlocked 2 of them, so now I can lower his offensive, or how much potential he is in combat he has by 2, and his materia rank is now showing as 3 instead of 1.
Wow, interesting. Okay. God, there's so much in this game.
And so I'm wondering if with the current materia that you start, or I'm sorry, with the current summons that you start with, if later on you start running into those kind of things for them as well.
Yeah.
Or if there's some other way to bump them up, because it just seemed really weird that the summoning materia was the only thing that didn't level up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I will also say, since we're talking about summons, I was finally able to summon Shiva, and she is the exact modern version of what she looked like in the original 7.
Perfect. That's all.
It is great. Yeah, exactly. Chocobo and Mog, still fantastic.
Yep.
But I haven't. Oh, and Leviathan. I managed to summon Leviathan.
Yeah, you got Leviathan for having a save file for the original, for remake, and then you get removed for having a save file for intermission. And then I bought the deluxe edition, so I get Magic Pot and one other summon. Oh, the 3 Moogles? Something like that. There was another one. I haven't been able to summon them yet. But I want to reiterate. We've only played 4 and 8 hours respectively, and we just talked for probably at least 45 minutes about this game. So like,
just the systems.
Yeah,
not
just
even
the systems.
story.
So like the amount of just stuff they have put in this game sounds a little bit overwhelming, but so far it feels pretty good, and it feels introduced well, and like the combat still feels really solid like it did before. I haven't run into anything that feels remarkably better. Changing out your party is actually really interesting. You kind of do it in the field. There's no like party menu in the game. You go into a sub menu and they're just hitting like L1 and R1, and it just flips the configuration of party members, and the ones you don't have in your party are like in the background. Like Barrett is in the background shooting his gun, while me and Tifa and Aerith are fighting kind of in the foreground. So it's it's interesting.
Doesn't seem like they're actually doing anything in the back, but
Not really.
Barrett's shooting his gun, but it doesn't look like it's actually hitting the enemies.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just there to make it look like they're doing something, which is fine.
Right.
My only complaint about this series so far is that nothing from 1 carries over. You don't get anything. You might as well be playing a brand new different game.
Yeah, you start at like level 40, and that's about it. Like,
that's just at the Nibelheim past talk. When you go into the real world, you're back down to like 17 or something like that, 15, 16 or something. But so like any of the material that you've been grinding, you don't get. Any of the weapons that you've been grinding, you don't get. You don't get your levels. You don't get items. Like
you just get those summons for having a save file.
Yeah, there's no connecting thread between the two, which then irks me even more about the first one, where I'm like, why was the level cap 50? Because it was the assumption that you were going to be able to carry stuff over, maybe not everything, but carry something over, and you don't. It's just like a brand new save.
Right.
So it's stupid things. But the music in this game is still great. Like the overworld map music is exactly from the original, and they even. Go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to mention that specifically because the world map music is Aerith's theme, just like from the original game, and the battle theme in the overworld is Aerith's theme as well, but like jazzed up a little bit. And like the way that the regular Aerith's theme melds into the battle theme, and then as soon as the battle's over, it morphs back into the overworld theme at the exact same spot. Like it's really good how natural that
pitch
flows.
And tempo and everything. It's like, man, this is
really good.
And it's great because like I just let it sit. Because when I was a kid playing 7, like there were times I would just go into areas and just sit there and listen to the music while I was doing something else. And I'm getting that same feeling here, where it's like once I was hearing the overmap music and that started kicking in and you get the swelling and stuff, I'm like, man, I just sat there and listened to the music again. So there's a reason I own the OST back there. So.
Right. It's an all-timer. Like, and I think I've heard 4 or 5 versions of the Sephiroth One-Winged Angel music so far. The game opens with like a real sad, down-tuned version of it. And it's like, all right, we're just doing that right away. Okay.
And then the Chocobo riding music again is just upbeat and fantastic as it should be. Like, it's great. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. Quote unquote, all I have to say for the first part here. But mostly because I don't want to really. Shockingly, I haven't spoiled anything here because this is just like the first handful of hours in a game that seems frighteningly gigantic. But all of it seems really, really good so far, and all of it seems to be picking up from the end point of Remake in the many different ways that kind of ended up. So
yeah, because right now you and I are probably 3 major story beats into the game,
right? Yeah,
and the rest of it's just been us exploring. And the Midgar Zulu better be in that swamp.
That's right. That's right. Did Sephiroth do this? Like
exactly.
That needs to,
and that better sound as stupid and corny as it does in my head every time I read that in the original game.
Metal Gear. Yeah.
Oh, God, I forgot to bring that up in a different game. I'll bring it up next week. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah. Before we get into other stuff here, that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break. Whoops. Oh, I just closed out a tab by accident. LOL.
No.
Did I hear the word break?
Yeah, you did.
I kid.
What time is it? 4 o'clock. All right. All right, let me pull up show notes
there was
here.
Enough time while you guys were talking for Louise to wake up from the couch, find me, get comfortable, then wake up again and go back to the couch.
I thought you were going to say, like, plenty enough time for me to play a lot of Slice and Dice.
Nope.
I wouldn't have blamed you.
Phone is right here.
That's right. All right, are you guys ready to do this other segment?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of March 4th, 2024. The Outlast Trials comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. This is the co-op multiplayer, if you want it to be, Outlast.
That is super gory.
Yeah, Outlast game that came out in last year on PC. And I really didn't hear anything about it. I don't know if you guys did. It kind of came and went.
Bits and pieces, but
Okay.
like it was one of those things where like it was like, oh, the Outlast Trials, which is like the third game in the Outlast franchise. Like that sounds cool. I haven't played 1 or 2.
Right. Right. So I'm not entirely sure how well that was received, but this one sure is out on console, and we'll see how that goes this time around. Next game here is As Dusk Falls, comes out on PS4, PS5. This was kind of like a big push on Game Pass in 2022 on Xbox and PC. This is the narrative adventure game with the very divisive art style of the like still
like the
images
shading,
that are kind of like the digital comic sort of thing from many years ago. That people, if you see a trailer of it, you'd be like, oh yeah, right, that game. So I remember this being sort of having a lukewarm reception to it, where people are like, it's fine, but that art style is sure something. I'm not sure about that still. So I'm happy it's coming to more stuff, but haven't really been racing out to play this one, unfortunately. Next game here, Unicorn Overlord, comes out on PS4, PS5. Thank you, Atlas, Xbox One, and Series consoles, and the Switch. Thank you for remembering the Xbox exists, Atlas. Atlas is Sega, holding it down for right now. This is Vanillaware's new game. 13 Sentinels, Dragon's Crown. They're making an ogre battle with. It probably has some delicious looking food in it. If you don't know what an ogre battle is, you're essentially commanding a small number of units, but each one of those units has multiple like party members inside of it. So one unit is fighting against another, but there might be 6 soldiers inside of each one of those units.
And you're breaking it down from battalion to squad to individual.
Right. And it's not...
Yeah, Advance Wars, the unit on the map was 1 tank, but inside of that was like 5 or 6 tanks.
Right. Yeah. And unlike Advance Wars, you have a radius of movement on the map. It's not grid-based, which I think sort of separates it from some other stuff. This looks really cool. They also just showed recently that just has Final Fantasy XII's Gambit system in it.
Yep.
For like macros for how to have your party members do stuff. Like you can manually have them do their thing, but like this game looks genuinely really wild. I'm really happy it's coming out on a bunch of stuff, and I'm especially Xbox platforms. Please put out more RPGs on Xbox. Surprised it's not coming out on PC, but maybe later. But I'm going to be picking this up pretty soon. I'll probably have to finish Rebirth first because I don't want to be playing 3 giant JRPGs all at the same time. But we'll see here. And lastly, but very similarly, WWE 2K24 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. So I get the descriptions of these games from the Internet Games Database a lot, and typically it's like multiple paragraphs long of features and benefits and who made it and everything. This is probably one of the shortest ones I've seen, which is basically like, yeah, there's like Showcase of the Immortals, my Rise, my faction, my GM, that's about it. It's like, oh.
Yeah, so
word?
All new quote-unquote match types, like guest referee, which was in SmackDown on the PlayStation. It's the same thing that they do, and FIFA does this, and all the annual releases do this.
Yep.
They'll have it in there for a couple of games, then it'll be taken out, and nobody will mention that it gets taken out, so that 2 years later they can put it back in again and say, new mode!
That's right. We took it out when we came out on the next generation of consoles, and then, oh, whoa, it's back, brand new mode, yeah. So,
in all honesty, I'm just waiting for my Ultimate Team wrestlers.
Yes. Someday. You open up your pin packs.
Hey, Moon, can you describe to me what is going on with this ambulance scene that we're apparently
It's an ambulance match, which is...
So they just, like, try to shove someone in there and just lock them in, and then it's match over?
Yep, in order to win the ambulance match, you have to put the person in the back of the ambulance and then close the door.
Huh.
And they're already in the ambulance. Oh, wink. Oh, boy. I mean,
it just seemed really weird that was the particular mode it kept showing over and over again. I was like, you guys are...
Because it's probably
do you want to be in it or out of it?
Right, yeah, it's probably one of the new things they're pushing here.
I'm greatly looking forward to the bug compilations that come out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for highlight reels, upcoming videos of just like, look at this
referee teleporting through the ropes into the sky. Right.
And the bummer of it is, like, this could be a really great game, but since they're so tied to these annual releases, it doesn't matter that much to
the year they took a year off is when it was the most broken.
You know, that's a good point. Boy, yeah.
Of course, they also changed studios and everything else at the time, but we're not going to go into that. It was still broken.
Yeah, still broken as hell, yeah. Oh, boy. All right, we got one news story this week because everything else is just on fire and is the worst. Stardew Valley 1.6 patch gets a release date. It's coming to PC on March 19th. Consoles and mobile coming as soon as possible. I really like Concerned Ape just coming out and being like, I did it again. It's big. It's like way bigger than I keep putting stuff in this. I'm sorry. It's real big this time again. And it started off with him saying like, well, I'm going to build in better support for modding and to really try and help the mod community. And then he said that there's a ton of stuff in this patch this time, kind of spread out over the entirety of a game. So it's not just like post-game stuff or beginning of the game stuff. It's kind of year over year as you're playing the game. There's a bunch of stuff in there as seasons go on and festivals and events happen. So that's kind of exciting because I liked the Coconut Island or whatever that post-game thing was that was the big thing that came out last time. I liked that, but that was focused so much on you've been playing for a while, you have a farm that's really rocking, here's a new place to go. I like the idea of, oh, you're starting a new game or you're kind of going through the normal year-over-year run. Here's some new stuff to keep each year exciting. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to checking that out and seeing what kind of weird secrets and new trees or seeds or cows or whatever is going to get added to the game, because that's unsurprisingly where the stuff is. And I really have to give, if anyone hasn't seen anything with Concerned Ape and like his interviews and stuff, it's really good. And I really appreciate him being honest, because people are like, hey, you're working on that other game, Haunted Chocolatier. Like, how's progress going on that? And he said, well, I got kind of stuck in that game, so I took a break to work on this 1.6 patch, and that kind of freed up
loosened it a little bit.
Yeah, he loosened the problem up a little bit, so he's really excited to go back to Haunted Chocolatier to make some real progress on that. I'm like, that's really smart. Like, instead of trying to juggle the two or stick with one game forever or like keep beating your head on Chocolatier, like, take a break. Like, go work on this thing that you probably know inside and out. Like, free up some cycles to work on this other thing and be like, yeah, all right, I'm kind of sick of Stardew Valley. Let's get back on this brand new thing. Like, that's, I give him a lot of credit for doing that. That's a really smart thing. Probably helps Burnout a lot.
I was going to say, I was actually going to ask if there had been an update on that game, because I hadn't heard anything in a while.
Yeah.
But I know you guys are way more into it than I am, so...
Yeah, he's been pretty honest about saying, like, I'm making progress. It's slow. It's probably a couple of years out. When I have something cool to show, I'll show you. But right now, it's a lot of just a game in development. It's like, yeah, all right, big respect for you to just be like, yeah, I'm not showing it yet. You know, I'm working on it. It'll be cool when it comes out. I'll probably play the hell out of it, but I can wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Silk Song though. Where is Silk Song? Put it. Let me in. I'm kidding. All right, that's our episode for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Go sign up for the Discord server. It's the best community on the internet. These other guys mentioned that the Left for Group channel, the LFG channel, is still there. God, I need to be done with this episode because my brain is done. The channel has returned somehow from the dead and is ready for you to make your groups and shoot some bugs, etc., etc. So go check that out over there. All the other channels are alive and well over there, except for the Destiny channel, because we're still like 4 months off from the DLC. But go check all that stuff out there. Go check out the YouTube channel. There's a video that we record of all of these shows that go on the public feed, whether they are live streamed or not. You can check out all the stuff over there. And don't forget to sign up for patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones on numbers. My neck hurts.
That's right. Neck hurts from playing all these video games. Listening to us talk about Final Fantasy VII. Oh, another thing. I'm kidding. $5 a month tier is the recommended one. That is per month, not per episode. So that is fun for a $5 over there. That's the recommended tier. That'll get you everything. Please tell your rich friend to go sign up and tell them it's like $5,000 a week or something, because that'll help the show a lot. If you can't support us financially, totally understand, because gestures at everything. Best way to support us is going and, liking, commenting, and subscribing on YouTube, rating this on, the Google podcast stuff, the Apple podcast stuff. That stuff does really help for discovery. Sharing on social media, telling all your friends, all that stuff really, really does help. Helps this show continue to grow, and the show is continuing to grow after 16, 17 years, something like that. So we're trending upwards. So it'll make the investors very happy. That's a joke.
It's all about the gains. Yeah,
that's right.
We don't care about those of you that are here already. We care about the ones that aren't here yet.
That's right. That way I can cash out when Embracer buys us. LOL. No, that's definitely not happening. Yeah. All right. That's all we've got this week. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Oi.
Bye.
The sun came out. All right, Nimp, what are your titles?
I have... It's probably just the crew. This isn't a Make-A-Wish. Ketchup on a Napkin America. Their Love Tussle. Master Vacation Bundle. And It Was Not a Whatever.
All right, Moon, what do you have?
I was trying to segue, check the meeting minutes, waifu stickers, I love the horn, that's your fault, a quick hit, and it's a Yakuza game.
I don't have much time left, 48 minutes, and probably just the crew. What are we feeling from these titles?
I like check the meeting minutes, if I'm honest.
That is a good one. Let me write that down. Meeting. I can write. I'm just killing it today.
So I don't have a specific one that's really jumping out to me right now.
I like to check the meeting minutes. It's fun to say.
That works for me then. Yeah.
I'll circle it. Whip.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Wow. Professionals. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 854 from March 4th, 2024. Check the meeting minutes.
I always forget about what we mentioned.
Why wasn't this meeting an email?
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you'll join us next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.